What's up, guys, and welcome to one of our annual videos where today I am talking about my picks for the top 10 worst movies of 2023. Some of you might be like, well, hey, why did you wait until, towards the end of January to do this? And you didn't even post your top 10 best videos yet. Well, that is because I've mentioned several times in several videos, but if you haven't caught it, I'll tell you again now that, look, I was waiting to see as many things as I could so everything would be in contention. That's still why I didn't post the top 10 best video yet. That's probably going to be coming within a month or so, where I'm going to be able to finish watching everything that I would have seen theatrically. I've got a 9.5-month-old son, so it's harder to get to the theater. We're figuring out a way for us to be able to go easier. So we'll see if I'm able to go a little more now. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to see what happens with that. But as of right now, this is my top 10 worst movies of 2023. So I feel pretty confident with this list, and you got some stinkers, you got some bad movies that we are gonna remember and briefly talk about now. So we have 4 dishonorable mentions, which are Kandahar, Migration, The Marvels, and The Boogeyman. And now, without further ado, let's get started with my pick for the 10th worst film of 2023, and that is Retribution. This is a film that stars Liam Neeson in a role that he always plays. He's protecting his family in a way that he's in a vehicle and he can't leave the vehicle because if they get out, the thing is going to explode. Uh, this movie is forgettable. It is not interesting. It is corny. I think that the acting is a little overdone. I think the script is underdone, and it's just not a great movie. By the end of it, you're like, okay, that's the plot. That's really where this was all going. Um, it was ridiculous. It was stupid, and yeah, I don't ever plan on watching it again. That's why it's number 10. Number 9, a comedy film about my father. This movie is one of the worst comedy films that I've seen. It's not funny at all. I don't think I laughed or even chuckled once because this Sebastian Maniscalco guy, look, I've heard great things about his stand-up, but as an actor in this comedy film, he is trying to cook it so hard, and he is trying to make you laugh. You can tell that none of it is genuine. They are trying to make you laugh. The story is totally boring, uninteresting. They got to get along with the wife's family or whatever. It's just something you've seen before, but this is just like the dollar store version of that kind of film, which is not funny, tries to be funny, it comes off extremely cringeworthy and forgettable, and that's why that's number 9. Number 8 is a film that I didn't think I was going to dislike as much as I did. It's Peter Pan and Wendy. This is a Disney Plus film. Look, I watched these two back to back. Peter Pan, the original film, and then I watched Peter Pan and Wendy. This film is supposed to be the retelling of that Peter Pan story. And the opening shot, where it's showing the staircase, and the title appears, and they're going up and they're fighting with their swords, I say, okay, this could be interesting, but it totally just goes off the deep end. With a Peter Pan who is like one of the worst castings of the year. Whoever that actor was, he was so damn bland as Peter Pan. Peter Pan was supposed to be this energetic soul, and in this film, this Peter Pan was just like, I found him annoying at times, wasn't into it. The girl who played Wendy was fine, but I just thought the whole film. Look, Jude Law as Captain Hook, totally wasted. The whole film is wasted. There's the crocodile sequence, which I thought was not great. The whole film, which by the time it ends and the way that the story goes, I was just not a fan of it, and it's not a good adaptation, and that's why that's on the list. And number 7, this might surprise some of you, is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. This is a film that I've seen on a couple best of the year lists, which totally baffles me. Look, you have an actor like Jake Gyllenhaal in this, in a film that is extremely dull, extremely boring. I thought this movie was so boring. This was a task to watch. I mean, the guy, one of the guys that helped save his life or whatever, he's now behind enemy lines. Jake Gyllenhaal's got to try to find him. He goes in. Like, the story was great, but the execution I just felt was so bland, so dull, and so boring. This is one of the most boring films of the year, and it was a task to get through. Let's talk about another film that was a task to get through. That's my number 6 pick, Luther the Fallen Son, which is based off a TV show, which I've heard good things about. This is the film where Idris Elba is playing this guy, where Andy Serkis is the bad guy, and I really can't tell you much about this movie. Watched it and basically forgot anything about it. I mean, it was just, I don't know. It just felt like you have to be a fan of the show to watch it. Maybe there was nothing in this movie that I thought was interesting. None of it was engaging, and again, dull. A lot of these movies very dull, very bland, and very boring. So that's number 6. Number 5 is a movie that came out just about a year ago. It came out in January, and it's House Party, which is, if About My Father was one of the worst comedies of the year, this is the worst comedy of the year. Not funny, irresponsible, delinquent, characters that you don't care about, a screenplay that feels like it was written by 2-year-olds, with a third act that goes just completely off the rails to I think Mark Cuban was in this movie that had this ridiculous scene. Like, just the whole thing was just it fell flat on its face. And I was not a fan of this movie at all. Number 4 also might be a surprise to some of you, which is another movie that I think some people actually did enjoy, but it was just not for me, and it's called Infinity Pool. This is a very interesting movie about this community of people who dance around naked and do a lot of drugs and break the rules and break the laws and are sentenced to death, but get doppelgangers of themselves. And uh, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me. Wasn't a fan of any of it. So that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is a film that I forgot about until looking at this list. It's Adam Driver in 65. This is the prehistoric film that tries to pull on your heartstrings from the opening scene of the film with his daughter, which is extremely cliched. You've seen things like this before. He leaves. That stuff's basically never mentioned again. He's ready to completely abandon that storyline when he finds a young girl that he has to save. There's dinosaurs running around. The movie doesn't have anything to do in the middle of the film, so they get stuck in a cave for half of it. I didn't find it intense. I thought the screenplay extremely weak. The effects, the whole thing, it was just like, what the hell am I watching? And some people might have had fun with it, but not me. Number 2 is a film that I don't think any of you have seen, but it's a movie that I saw, and it's called Consecration, which felt like constipation. This is the most boring film of the year. It's got Juno Temple in this as a nun who's going around doing something. I don't even know. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. It's a terrible film where the ending, just the whole thing. I do not recommend this movie. It's very bad. Consecration, which feels like constipation. That's my quote on the back of the Blu-ray box. So that's where I'm at with that. And the worst movie of the year, which I think is going to be the worst movie of the year for a lot of other people, it's The Exorcist Believer, a film that completely spits in the face of the legacy of the original Exorcist film, which takes the Ellen Burstyn character, spits on her legacy, The things they do to that character are so disrespectful to the original movie and fans of that original movie. I mean, the script of this is bonkers and ridiculous. David Gordon Green, who recently, it just came out, exited the next film, whatever the hell the second, it was supposed to be a trilogy. He's not doing it anymore because of all the backlash he got from this film. This is not a good movie. It's not scary at all. It's not anything you want it to be. This is the biggest disappointment and by far the worst film of the year. I recently just watched The First Exorcist before seeing this, which I loved that first movie, which has so many great themes and depth to it, where this film feels like idiots that saw that original movie and just decided to throw something out to the audience to make a penny. And it was a disgrace, and I hate it, and I will never watch it again. It is a terrible film, and I don't even want them to do another one. I don't want a second one. You did a terrible, like what you did with this movie was so unbelievably despicable. I am not interested. And with that being said, that's my top 10 worst movies of the year list. Guys, comment down below. Did you see any of these films? What are your lists look like? What films do you have on that I don't? Leave that down below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Look, like I said, in about a month's time, you could expect the top 10 best of the year list, where we're going to have a much better time talking about quality films. Where, look, this year there has been an overabundance of quality films. So, very excited to talk about that. And that's about it for me, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at RyanKing72 and Instagram and TikTok at KingArises131. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.